So continuing here, you know, just about this idea that society would break down if we're all prosperous, because that's the only threat out there that people can offer up. Okay, is that society wouldn't work, people just wouldn't do certain jobs, right? That's the only halfway valid argument that I could ever accept. Okay, but until we test the waters of that theory, you can't prove that you're right. And I'm telling you, look, all I'm saying is that conscience dictates that it will work, okay? And that is God who gave us a conscience, and for good reason. It's like he gave you a sense of pain, a sense of feeling, touch. When you hold your hand over a flame, if you don't know that your hand is over, if you're not paying attention, you'll cremate your hand. So for good reason, he gave us a sense of pain. For the same reason, he gave us a conscience. So to understand, this is valuable. Your integrity, your honor is of value to you. And no man can tell you you can't be exactly who you want to be. So if your conscience is not sufficient for any man, then you've got to abandon that man and cleave to your conscience. Okay, this is cleaving to God and saying, no, I'm going to be exactly who I want to be. No man is going to dictate to me. I'm going to let God tell me who he wants me to be, and together, we'll create the individual with the individual characteristics and personality and all that kind of stuff, which is, of course, very unique to every single living soul out there, and dead too. Okay, because the dead are not really dead, they're just sleeping, like Jesus explained. Everybody's going to get resurrected. So I got to finish up, man. I so want to keep this video series I do weekly shorter. I really do. And I'm getting mad at myself about it, but it doesn't help, I guess. It's just I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated with the whole world, you can see, and the direction we're going. I just don't want to see what's coming. I am an optimist. I know God's going to win this battle, but it is foreboding, and it is fear-inducing to see the rabbits that Satan is pulling out of the hat here, okay, at these end times, because this is the big change. This is the one that Satan has been dreading his whole life, okay? And remember, God created Lucifer, a very exalted being in heaven, okay? But he fell. He challenged God. He rebelled, and so he lost his place, but he came to earth. He deceived man. He had great power over the earth at that time, and God's letting this thing play itself out, okay? That's the story in a nutshell. And that's why we've got all these problems that persist and increase. And it's fear-inducing, because the establishmentarians, not knowing that Satan's behind their will, is not going down without a fight, and it's going to get crazy here for a while, and it's very frightening. So this all started with the Syrian thing, and I guess the main gist of that is make sure you're not deceived, Donald Trump. That's my message to you, man. That this wasn't a false flag, self-induced wound by the rebels, okay, to besmirch Bashar al-Assad, who had nothing to gain from doing this. I concur with all Alex Jones's reporters who see it the same way, all his guests. And this is what it is, man. So come on, don't play stupid here. We're not buying it. The military's not going to buy it. God, I hope the military doesn't buy it. Okay, because you're becoming Al-Qaeda's Air Force if you do. But the money thing, it's always the money. You see, money is the devil in the details. It's always about the money. So this could be to save the economy. They got to have distractions. This is just I see all this crap as distractions. Look over here, the Supreme Court nominee. Look over here, Syria. Look over here, Korea. Look over here, unequal pay for women. Look over here, just the healthcare issue, right? All these, I mean, you can't, look, it's all the money. It's all about the money. We've got to understand what's going on. The chain reaction has reached its limit. People don't have any more to give. Like my mother always used to say, you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip. People are tapped out. They don't have any more bread. They're broke. They can't give any more blood. They're just dying now. It's genocide upon the economic genocide. That's what social Darwinian economics leads to. So that's where we're at here, and this is what I'm trying to get across to people. Understand it. And understand if you're going to stay on the side of the establishment because it's still working for you, your numbers are going up, you're evil and you're on your way to hell, and I'm warning you because I don't want your blood on my hands. So I'm telling you, please don't take it the wrong. I don't want to come across like a patronizing a-hole. Please, I don't. I want to be every man's friend. I want to be a good brother. I'm trustworthy. You could trust me with your wife. I'm that kind of a guy. Okay, I'm just a nice, honorable dude who wants to be a friend to everybody. And that's what God is telling me to do. I want to reach out to everybody. I don't care who you are, how evil you are, medium or evil, or you think you're holy when you're not. You're just evil. Look, whoever I'm talking to, I just want you to know why I'm doing it. Because I am selfish. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. I don't want the blood of other people on my hand because I didn't warn them. I didn't act in time to say, look, this is getting nasty. This is getting frightening. And we've all got to get our values in order, get it straight, get our belief systems, our philosophies in order to be able to stand before an all-knowing God who's not going to buy a lot of psychobabble about why we think money is okay, why the God of this world is okay, that we've let him run roughshod over humanity all this time, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. We keep feeding the beast, and the problems keep getting worse and worse, and the answer is pay more, feed the beast more. 50 billion isn't enough to end homelessness in America. Maybe we need 100 billion. Okay, and then the problem will get worse, and we'll just keep feeding the beast, beating our heads off with it. It's not working. It's maddening. It's insanity. And that's what we've got to understand, because the people at the top are insane madmen. They're just clinging, whatever, they're grasping at straws to keep their positions of power in this world. But it can't be. God has to rule through Jesus Christ. That's the way the story goes. That's what's written in your Bible. To know what the eventual reality is going to be. God is going to rule this world through Jesus Christ. And there's not going to be money. There's going to be no place found for money in this world. Okay, that's it. Everything has to be free. That's the only way it can be. It's a competing God. Money, this whole concept, it's Satan. It's competing for God's affection and attention and reverence, okay, that is due only him. So we've got to understand that. And as radical as that philosophy, that theory sounds, you can't prove me wrong until we test the waters, push the envelope. Let's see, raise our standard of living so high. But the argument is that, this is the only... and it's not a valid argument, but this is what the elitists have. Okay, it's this idea that no, if everybody was prosperous, okay, because they assume people are going to eventually figure out economic principles. They're going to understand things I'm telling you are true. That under true capitalism, it leads to freedom, and I've told you how that happens. Through the reduction in your cost of living, because we find easier and easier production means to create the stuff we need primarily, and also the stuff we want secondarily. Okay, so that's the logic. That's the mathematics behind what I'm saying here, that that under true capitalism, true progress dictates that your currency increases in worth, okay? And the way that happens is by your cost of living decreasing, okay? That's it. It's just like a scale until the sky's the limit. That's it. Unless something artificial thing intercedes and causes it not to happen. And that's what's happened here. It's very artificial. Crony capitalism is very artificial. This is very wrong. This is very evil. Very evil. Raising your cost of living unwarrantedly, picking on just average, regular, working class people, the poor, blue collar people who are struggling enough out there. And these are the ones that are paying the ultimate price out there. Losing their will to live, committing suicide, all the broken homes, all the homelessness, all the wreckage, all the misery that you're creating, the poorhouses, all this need for perpetual growing charity, and all the taxes that are going to it. It's be so much cheaper just to end extreme poverty than to keep feeding it. But you see, that's it. These people are illogical. They're insane. They can't let that happen because, again, you'd figure it out. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Maybe a guaranteed minimum income isn't such a bad idea. So everybody was living in safety and security. Are you going to object to that? You better not, as long as we don't let it lead to a cost of living inflation, like what happened in Zimbabwe, the reduction of the money, or in where was it? They had to use wheelbarrows to carry their money, and because the currency had been deflated so much. There's still so much confusion on this. I mean, I hear people just throw something out there like money inflation. People don't understand. I mean, we've got to be very clear. When you talk about inflation and deflation, you've got to be very clear what you're talking to people about. You want your cost of living to deflate, to go down. because that means your currency goes up in worth. That's what you want. That's what's going to set you free. Okay, that's what's going to make it so that you could give the workers a pay decrease, and they still are getting richer because of prosperity, because the worth of their currency is going up. That's progress. That's how you define progress in an economic, social economic structure, true free market supply and demand capitalism. That's what it is. That's what it brings you. And anything else is just a lie from the pit of hell. So fundamentally, that's what I try over and over. I try to go over this in my videos because I just want people to understand this, how we've been duped, how we've been taken, and how it happens to everybody, because we are under a spell. We're from birth. People are deluded. They think they're free. They're not free. You have a cost of living. And what's the best you can hope for? That cost of living to go down. So again, these people like your Al Gore's out there, I just use him as a figurehead in this whole movement, this earth, this alarmist, that we're earth, that weather, climate change, all this crap. This is what it's based on. And no, we've got to impoverish people. We've got to lower their standard of living because they're going to burn energy. That's CO2. That's a pollutant. You're going to destroy the earth. While these people are chemtrailing, causing the problems in the climate. Do you understand the irony here? I mean, it's beyond irony. It's vomitable. A new word I'm just inventing, okay? But that's what these people are. They're vomitous bunch, okay? A vomitous bunch of people. But that's all they've got left. That's the only context that could make remotely any sense to people, is that, yes, because once you understand economic principles, you understand what true progress is, what's supposed to happen. I don't care if you're a communist or a capitalist. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care anything, gender, race. It's all that stuff, okay? It's the same thing. Understand what's going on. This is for everybody. For everybody to understand this thing, you've got to understand why it's a threat to the establishment. They don't want you free, okay? And they know where true capitalism leads. It leads to true freedom. It's a means to an end. And they want to suppress us and keep our eyes wide shut. And you'd not understand that you're enslaved, because you say, hey, you know what? I've got financial security and I'm not living in fear, and that's it. So it's every man for himself, and they're prescribing to social Darwinian economic principles. Which, remember what you're prescribing. You're prescribing to genocide. You're just prescribing to these dubious wars. You're prescribing to the homicides from all the crimes of desperation out there, financial desperation. You're prescribing to all these things. It's on your head, okay? This idea, because there's all this suppressed clean technology. We're not going to ruin the earth by raising our standard of living. Quite the contrary. Then it releases all this suppressed clean technology they call disruptive technology, because all the locked up sealed patents out there involve money, right? That's what it's all about, money. Okay, who bought the patent and who put it on the shelf? What was their motivation? Because it was a threat to their established way to make money, like the oil companies, for example. They don't want you having hydrogen on demand in your car. Miniaturize a hydrogen production plant so it's right under the hood of your car. You just put water in your gas tank. You think they want that happening to where all we're using oil for is as a lubricant? They don't want that to happen. And nobody can argue that tailpipe emissions aren't a pollutant. They are a pollutant. That's a matter. Forget the CO2. That's fine. But we're talking about the gasoline fumes. Okay, this, even with the catalytic converter, there's still an amount of pollution there. So yes, it'd be better to run our cars on hydrogen on demand if we could. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff that people have got to understand. That these people are liars. They're very shrewd. They're evil genius. They're like mad scientists, and they're manipulating us. Their minds. It's psychological. A lot of this stuff. Okay, it reminds me of like a comma, how easy it is to change things with a comma. Like when Jesus taught, he said, I tell you this day that you will be with me in paradise. Now, depending on where you put the comma in that sentence, because they spoke more Shakespearean, more poetically back in that day, apparently. So these are the kind of words that you're going to hear if you read the King James Version, which most will say is the most accurate version of the Bible. You get the red letter edition, so you can see the teachings of Jesus very easily in the New Testament. But when he said that, okay, depending on where you put the comma, it can read two entirely different ways. So just a little thing can change our whole thought system. And if you don't know how words evolve, like anti, call in the Antichrist. Anti is an ancient word. Jesus used it to Antichrist, okay? Well, if you don't know this means a stand-in, a substitute, then you don't correlate the Pope. You don't understand, well, of course that's the Antichrist, duh, because this is, if there's one man that purportedly, supposedly represents Jesus in this world for a long, long time, it would be this one they call the Antichrist, the Pope, okay? So you've got to understand these words. It's very important to have the knowledge, the wisdom, the information, the learning about these things. Very important that they not get lost in the translations deliberately.